The inheritance was settled in a single afternoon. The elder brother did not hesitate. He marked the boundaries of the house with heavy stones and claimed the keys to the barn before the ink on the will had even dried. He walked the perimeter of the fertile fields, pacing off the acreage until he had claimed every inch of topsoil. Then, he turned his gaze to the younger brother. He pointed toward the edge of the property, where the earth turned to gray dust and jagged slate. "That patch of rock is yours," he said. "It is more than enough." The younger brother did not argue. He watched the house doors lock and the gates to the field swing shut. He walked to the barren patch and knelt. He pressed his palms into the dry, unyielding earth. It was cold, resistant, and dead. He stood up, retrieved a heavy iron hoe from the dirt, and drove the blade into the ground. The impact jarred his shoulders. He pulled, and the blade skidded against a buried stone with a sharp, metallic ring. He repositioned his grip, braced his feet against the incline, and struck the ground again. He worked until the sun dipped behind the ridge, his movements rhythmic, silent, and steady. The rocks were stubborn, but he did not stop. Days bled into weeks under the relentless heat. The younger brother's palms were raw, mapped with calluses from the iron hoe. He ate sparingly, scraping the last of his grain into a wooden bowl each evening, his strength waning with every row of stone he cleared. One afternoon, while dragging a heavy pile of debris toward the fence line, he saw a shape slumped against the dirt. It was an old woman. Her head rested against the dry earth, her fingers clawing weakly at the dust. She was trembling, her breath coming in ragged, shallow gasps. He dropped his hoe and knelt beside her, checking for a pulse. It was faint. He hesitated, then pulled his small bowl of porridge from his pack. It was his only meal for the day, his only fuel for the work to come. He lifted her head and held the bowl to her lips. She blinked, her eyes clearing as she took the first bite. She looked up at him, her voice a dry rasp.
"Do you realize you are giving away your only food?" she asked. He did not look at his empty bowl.
He looked at the hollows of her cheeks and the desperation in her grip. "You are in greater need than I am," he replied. He held the bowl steady until she finished every drop, waiting for the strength to return to her frame. As the last morsel vanished, the woman's frame shimmered. A soft, golden light pulsed from her skin, washing over the parched ground. She stood, the frailty gone, replaced by an ethereal stillness. She reached into her satchel and withdrew a small, heavy pouch. "Plant these with the same kindness you showed me," she commanded. Before he could respond, she dissolved into the air, leaving only the scent of ozone and earth. He knelt and cleared the final layer of stubborn rock. He sowed the seeds in a neat row, pressing the soil down firmly with his palms. Within 3 sunrises, a green shoot broke the surface. It grew with impossible speed, spiraling upward until a massive tree stood over the patch. Its branches bowed under the weight of shimmering, golden fruit. He harvested the crop, filling crates that he carried to the village market. His debts vanished. The hut was mended. Word of his sudden fortune traveled fast. The elder brother stood by his boundary fence, watching the younger brother haul crates of gold-skinned fruit into the barn. He leaned against the wood, his knuckles white, eyes narrowed into thin slits. He watched the younger brother wipe sweat from his brow and smile. The elder brother turned back to his own field, his grip on the fence tightening until the wood groaned. The elder brother did not wait for dawn. He marched to the same patch of rocky ground,
his eyes scouring every shadow. He carried a crust of moldy bread in his palms, kept hidden until he saw a figure huddled by the roadside.
He approached with measured, rehearsed steps, his focus locked on the satchel at her side. He tossed the bread into the dirt at her feet, his voice tight with impatience. "Take it," he demanded, his gaze fixed on her bag. The woman did not reach for the food. She stood, and the air in the clearing grew heavy, cold, and still. The transformation was instantaneous. She was no longer a frail traveler, but a towering presence that seemed to blot out the sun. Her face was a mask of cold judgment.
"True kindness cannot be bought with greed," she declared, her voice ringing like iron against stone. The elder brother reached out, his fingers grasping at empty air, but she was gone. The golden light faded, leaving behind only the gray, barren dust. He remained crouched in the dirt, his hands still extended, the moldy bread untouched at his feet. The silence of the field pressed in on him. He felt the weight of his own actions, the hollowness of his design, and he did not move. The weight of the silence broke when the elder brother finally stood.
He brushed the dirt from his hands and turned away from the barren patch, leaving the moldy bread behind. He walked back to the village, but he did not go to his house. Instead, he stopped at a neighbor's fence that had collapsed during the last storm. He spent the afternoon hauling stones and resetting posts. When the work was done, he moved to the next farm to help clear weeds. He asked for no payment, accepted no thanks, and kept his head down. Days turned into weeks of steady, quiet labor. The younger brother watched from his own field. He saw the shift in his brother's gait and the calluses forming on his hands. One morning,
the younger brother walked over with a basket of fruit and extended a hand. The elder brother took it, his grip firm. They walked together to the rocky patch, now softened by months of toil. They spent the rest of the day turning the earth, their hoes striking the ground in a steady, shared rhythm. The fields flourished under their united hands, yielding a harvest that fed them both. They sat on the porch as the sun set,
the labor of the day behind them, the resentment replaced by the quiet certainty of a life built on solid ground.